The Resident Evil franchise has become synonymous with the survival horror genre since its inception. The series has evolved from its roots in the eerie corridors of a zombie-infested mansion to narrative-driven games across many different settings. The next installment, Resident Evil 9, promises to be a groundbreaking addition to the series, as it's rumored to be the first open-world game in the franchise. Now, I think we were all kind of hoping that Capcom would reveal RE9 during the last PlayStation State of Play, but that unfortunately didn't happen. Well, according to recent insider comments, a reveal for Resident Evil 9 is imminent and could be happening sooner than you think. In this video, we'll be diving into the latest news. When is the big reveal for RE9 going to happen? We also have a potential leak on what we can expect for the gameplay, the world, the story, and the protagonists. Could this be the game that takes Resident Evil in an entirely new direction? I'll be covering all of this and more, so be sure to check the video chapters for easy viewing, and let's get started. So despite all of the hype leading up to the PlayStation State of Play, fans were left kind of disappointed when Capcom didn't deliver a reveal for Resident Evil 9 during that event. Prior to the event, there was quite a bit of rumblings and wishful thinking that PlayStation would reveal it there. Well, Capcom did show up to the event, but not for Resident Evil. They instead gave us a new look at Monster Hunter Wilds. However, according to one notable leaker, Lunatic Ignis, they actually hinted prior to the State of Play that the reveal wait may not be much longer. In a message they sent on their Discord when talking about the reveal, they had this to say: "All of you probably already guessed the game from the first hint. I realized it was way too easy with a Capcom logo. The game is indeed Resident Evil 9, which is not in development hell, but it is the most ambitious game in the series. At this moment, I can't say the exact release date, only the second half of 2025. And you can expect the game to have a teaser in the coming weeks/months. So there's quite a bit to unpack here, but let's first talk about the reveal. Many thought that the reveal would happen during the PlayStation State of Play, but now that we've seen it, we know it didn't happen. So when is the teaser or reveal going to happen, like Ignis mentioned? So first, let's just say Ignis is correct here, and a reveal or teaser is coming soon. When is that going to be? There are a few possibilities. The first one is that Capcom will just randomly send out a teaser on social media, which I guess really could just happen at any time. The next possibility is that they'll hold the reveal until the Game Awards, which is only a couple of months away at this point in December. For those of you that have never seen the Game Awards, the event is pretty much half commercials, and then the rest of it is passing out awards to developers and publishers, and then the other half is new game reveals. So this event is typically where game developers and publishers give players a look at what's next. And then finally, the last scenario would be a return of the Resident Evil showcase, which I believe the last one we got was in 2022. Then bringing back the RE showcase for Resident Evil 9 would be pretty great. Now, these are obviously just a few options. It's hard to determine what Capcom will do, but out of the three options I mentioned, I would say our best bet is either a Resident Evil showcase or the Game Awards. If we're getting just a small cinematic teaser, it will likely be during the Game Awards over an RE showcase, as they will probably reserve that closer to the game's release. And we can't forget the impact of a trailer during the Game Awards would be much higher than anything else as well. Almost the entire industry will be watching the Game Awards. So if Resident Evil 9 is truly their most ambitious game yet, then they're going to want this trailer to be seen in front of as many people as possible, and that's why a teaser during the Game Awards is our best bet. Recently, there was a leak for Resident Evil 9 that contained a ton of potential details for the upcoming game, from a brand new protagonist to new details about the game's setting and other characters returning. According to the leaks, the game takes place on a fictional island in Southeast Asia. The setting apparently was inspired by the real Japanese volcanic island of Miyagi-jima, which is known for having poisonous volcanic gases that forces anyone near it to wear a gas mask. The village and town structures in Resident Evil 9 are said to feature a mix of influences from 11 countries in Southeast Asia, and it blends traditional architecture into a setting that reflects the region's rich diversity. The leak continues by saying the primary biological threat will be the white mold, which is a new variation of the mold organism which was previously seen in Resident Evil 7 and Village. Now, the white mold is reportedly based on real-life Torabella fungus, which overtakes insects by consuming their bodies. Now, in Resident Evil 9, the victims of the white mold experience severe physical and mental deterioration, and once fully infected, they transform into monstrous creatures, which are said to resemble mythological beings from the Southeast Asian folklore. There's also apparently going to be a new protagonist by the name of Adrian Clark, who is a tourist that arrives on the island with his son and his wife, just to witness his wife's murder by the locals, with his son also being abducted. Resident Evil 9's plot allegedly follows Adrian as he embarks on a search to rescue his son. The leak continues on to say that RE9 will also see the return of iconic characters from the series, including Leon Kennedy, who plays an episodic role in assisting Adrian. Leon Leon is now in his 50s, so we might actually get a bearded Leon in this next game, which sounds pretty awesome. Now, Leon apparently appears more frequently than Chris Redfield did in Resident Evil Village, and the other series mainstays like Chris, Jill, Claire are also set to appear, but these characters will primarily be behind the scenes, with their stories to be explored in future DLC. According to the leak, the game will also feature first-person gameplay, but after you complete the main story, you'll be able to play the game in the over-the-shoulder perspective, which basically that's just third person. They also allege that the DLC involving returning characters will only be available in the third-person perspective. Now, the narrative of this game is set to heavily involve the island's volcano, which is tied to ancient extremophile, which are organisms that are worshipped by the island's inhabitants. Now, the extremophiles might have the potential to enhance the white mold, which is said to draw interest from major factions in the game. The leak then says that the BSAA is now under control of the Blue Umbrella and is now a corrupt entity. And Blue Umbrella is reportedly involved in supplying the bioorganic weapons to various countries. And finally, they say the Resident Evil 9 is being developed using an advanced REX engine, and a reveal is scheduled for the first half of 2025, likely after April, and a release date is planned for early 2026. Now, with all of that being said, this is a leak slash rumor, so everything should be taken with a grain of salt. Like most leaks and rumors, we don't know if this information will be real or true until the game gets revealed. However, I will say this does sound like a compelling bit of information, with the next game rumored to be open world, being set on a volcanic island inspired by Japan. It sounds pretty great. I think the aspect that I'm most hyped about is an older and bearded Leon. Oh, also the open world gameplay as well. I really think open world Resident Evil could work personally, but there has been a lot of discussion I've seen on whether or not the move to open world setting is a good idea for them, or if it's a bad idea. It does seem like a risky strategy, especially since the more close quarters games are so good, and I've seen concerns on whether or not the open world gameplay will actually translate well for the horror genre. The Evil Within was able to pull it off fairly successfully, but is Capcom up to the task? That still remains to be seen. Some have said that the open world is a complete deal breaker for them, but I'm holding out hope. Capcom has been absolutely crushing it lately, so if they're convinced, then I'm sure it'll be just fine. The release date for Resident Evil 9 is still very much up in the air right now, with no official reveal or announcement from Capcom. There has, however, been some various leaks and industry insiders like Ignis and Dusk Golem and others that have said that RE9 has been in development since late 2018. Dusk Golem suggested that RE9 will release as early as January 2025, but the game may have been pushed back to 2026, which I think would be a good thing because that would tie into the 30th anniversary of the franchise. So if the internal delays are actually real, then a 2026 release window does make sense. The development timeline also aligns with the Capcom strategy as of lately of spacing out its mainline entries and remakes. For example, RE7 released in 2017, and it was followed by Resident Evil Village in 2021, which if the pattern continues of 4 to 5 years between major titles, a 2025 release date makes sense. Insider Gaming has also echoed a similar sentiment, which indicated that while an early 2025 release date was on the game, internal delays led to the game being revealed later this year with a launch toward the end of 2025 or early 2026. And then we have Ignis, who said that RE9 is the most ambitious game in the series and is set for a release date in the second half of 2025 with a teaser in the coming weeks and months. So with all of that being said, when is this game going to finally release? If we get a reveal this year for RE9, then I think the second half in 2025 would make sense. It gives the game enough time to market and prepare for launch. But if we have to wait until 2025 for the official reveal of RE9, then I could easily see it slipping into 2026. If this game truly is an open world experience, they're going to want to make sure that this game runs as good as the recent Resident Evil remakes and the mainline games that have released. I'm personally thinking it's going to release in the second half of 2025, mainly because of how stacked next year is going to be in the first half. But Capcom also still has to be a bit careful about releasing this game in the second half if they do, for the slight chance that GTA 6 ends up coming out next year in the second half as well. Well guys, that's going to wrap it up with this video. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section. Who do you guys think should be the protagonist for Resident Evil 9? How do you feel about a 50-year-old bearded Leon in the game? And what are your thoughts on the rumored open world setting? Are you excited? Are you a bit concerned? I would love to hear your opinions. Thanks again for watching this video, and until next time, this has been Wes, and I will talk to you guys in the next video.